We've been living in the van for a year now. It's still pretty sweet. I think we should start off with the best thing about living in a van. And it's sort of just a word thrown out there and glazed over in a lot of videos, I think, but it is freedom. It's the freedom to move around Australia pretty much as we wish, and to rock up at the beach, and if the surf's really good, decide to stay all day, and you've pretty much got nowhere else to be. I think there's just nothing else that has ever come close to it, and I've travelled the world and I've felt most free here in the van.
I've really enjoyed meeting people along the way, and again, it's kind of like freedom, but the freedom to be able to find some friends and like park up together for the night, or camp together for the night, like cook dinner and just hang out all together. It's kind of like having a range of different housemates every night, so that's been fun.
No one gets stale. It's been a sort of very loose schedule, and we've sort of backtracked a lot, but basically we started our big trip in Sydney, went up north to Noosa and hung around Byron for 6 weeks or so, and then did a big horseshoe around the bottom of Australia, and now we're up here in northwest WA, getting to experience probably the best place to be in Australia right now.
Definitely.
That, and then we're going to jump to a conversation about the aircon. Up here in the heat, the idea of an air conditioner starts to become a little bit more appealing. But I think based on, you know, battery and power needs and all the rest of it, it would be a little bit impractical unless whenever it was hot, super hot, you just went to a powered site.
Even if you do have an aircon, when you decide to use it, it's like, okay, shut all the doors to the van, all the windows, you're locked inside, because there's no point in having it on otherwise.
Can you believe it? A year!
Lead me into it again?
Yeah.
Given the roof space it needs and the cost and the power and everything, it's just not worth it, because over the last year, I think there's been 1-2 days maybe that we would have been like, okay, it's really hot, we need an aircon.
Yeah, I suppose you're right there. Conversation about the bed.
Yeah, I knew we were going to film that.
That's a dirty window.
Yes, very dirty.
Getting a consistent good night's sleep in the van is a little bit of a challenge. There's a restricted amount of space back here, and even though it technically fits us, that's something we'd probably change.
You know what we should have done?
What?
Make the cladding thinner just in this area. Maybe even no battens or anything, just like plywood straight on the walls, just for here to increase the space.
But then, as you can feel, there's actually like a lot of heat coming through there already.
I still think you could have made it work.
You know what I would have done?
What?
I would have installed a flare from the start, and I would have just pushed out the side of the van, and then we could have increased the whole area by like 25 centimetres. Would have been amazing.
No, I'm not sold on it. It's too RVE, looks shit.
Well, I guess that is something we're not going to solve anyway.
So we did a van tour a while ago, but we've got some new stuff, and yeah, let's take a look. These mosquito nets are from Bunnings, super simple, 20 bucks, and all I did was just cut in the corners there so that they're curved, and then they're velcroed to the side. Easy.
One thing that wasn't working last time when we did our tour was our solar setup. We had a really expensive system put in place by a really bad company. So we actually had to go and get a third party to come in and fix it up. And since then, we haven't even had to go to a caravan park out of need of power, which has been pretty cool. After that big fiasco, we realized that the alternator works really well when you actually turn the lights on. Because it, if you will, tricks the car into sending more amps. I don't know if that's a technically correct explanation, but instead of getting, 10 or 12 amps, we start getting 27. It's great.
We were trying to work out for a while why our fridge was using a lot more power than it should do. And we finally worked out that it was probably lack of ventilation through the help of some people. As a result, we lifted the bench top here, added some extra wood, added some ventilation panel here, and yeah, pretty much solved the problem.
Awkwardly here under the car, our water pump, which was a sea flow, kept breaking and the wires kept sort of eroding because they were exposed to the elements. So what we had was a new pump put in and also a sort of protective aluminium case installed. So far, it's been working a treat. I just recently released a new online surf program, and actually getting that course ready was just a huge shit fight, really. And that has been one of the unexpected challenges of being in the van, is just trying to be as productive as I normally would be if I had a consistent work environment. Even though within the van it's consistent, especially up here we've got like internet issues, pretty much internet issues everywhere in Australia. And then it comes down to space. Ergonomically, this area that I typically work in is not fantastic, and it's definitely not sustainable if I want to continue to grow the business at the rate that I do. So we'll have to consider that. I don't think I would change it though. At the same time, our little area here that we use for cooking and working and eating and even socializing, it's a pretty valuable and conservative and economic area that I think if we committed more of it to work, it would take away from the social and other elements of the van that we enjoy so much.
Well, the only way you could change it is by increasing the space,
which we can't do.
Is limited in the van.
Even though we got a big van, it's not that big. What's the challenge for you? Everyone's been asking about clothes and clothes space.
Yeah, I actually don't find the clothes space a big issue. I've got everything I need, and especially when you're traveling, you don't really need that many clothes. I tend to wear a lot of the same stuff.
We've been quite minimalistic. It's hard to get out of bathers and board shorts. I don't even have a shirt on. We're basically homeless when it comes to clothes.
I think the biggest issue around that is washing, because we can't do that in the van unless maybe it's a very small amount of essentials. So yeah, just making sure we go to a caravan site or a laundromat once every fortnight or something and just trying to do a load, but then also drying it, because I don't like to use a dryer. So yeah, that's probably the biggest issue.
Yeah, I could definitely do a lot of elements of van life long term. I think I said to Emma the other day, it hasn't really been one point where I've felt incredibly restricted outside of the work space. The washing thing I can handle. A lot of other things I can handle really easily. I love being, living a minimalist lifestyle, and, as a surfer, once you check that box off when I'm not bloody injured, the rest of the day tends to flow quite easily. You can adapt pretty well. So this is definitely something I could do long term. Is it something I want to do long term? It depends where work starts to fall. When work becomes a priority, which it already has at times, that's when I start to go, okay, maybe we do need a consistent space. But I think this van will always make up some sort of character in our lives, for the foreseeable future. Regardless of if we actually do buy a house and settle down, we'll definitely still keep the van and have it as a weekender, and all sorts. Yeah. What about you? How long do you reckon you could do van life?
Yeah, it all comes down to work. I think the moment I start doing full-time work, especially somewhere where I have to travel to the workplace and travel back at night, I think that will be the point where I call it, I think, because
Yeah.
I did it a bit in Sydney, and it grew old very quickly.
The consistent thread here is that work and van life don't necessarily mix in a great way. But when you live so cheaply after the initial investment, you don't actually need to work or earn that much. So that might be a great recipe. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's been a rad year for us in the van, and I'm looking forward to who knows how much longer here on this adventure. If you want to follow along and check out a bunch of surfing content as well, make sure you subscribe to the channel and join me on Instagram at Kale's Broccoli. See you guys soon.